Hallo und herzlich, welcome, welcome. Hallo und herzlich willkommen. Welcome, welcome. Actually, it's an English episode. Let's talk in English. My name is Roland here on Roland Media. I'm entrepreneur. And today we have a beautiful guest. We already did our podcast together in German. Now we do it one in English for the English audience, for the broad audience. And we are going to talk about a topic that I think that's so needed nowadays in this, this distracted world. People are very distracted, uncertainty, a lot of fears going on, what's happening in the world. And we're going to talk about the shift into new consciousness and yeah, what it means, a new consciousness, a new humanity. Let's welcome Amrita, Sophia, Nath. Hallo, liebe Amrita. Servus. Ich freue mich, dass wir es wieder mal schaffen.
Yeah.
Uh, And welcome to our podcast because we do it in English this time.
Yeah, we do it in English
Yeah,
because I have many students in the Philippines and over the world, so they can't speak German, so it's much better in English.
100%, 100%.
Mm.
And it's a world language. Yeah, 100%. Just
Exactly.
before I gave an interview in English too, so
Mhm.
English is a world language. So today we're going to talk about, and I think it's a very important talk because a lot of people, are distracted what's going on, especially when they watch too much mainstream media, what's going
Mm.
on in the world. So most people are outside, I would say, outside their body. Yeah, they're in the outer world,
Yes.
and therefore they're
Yes.
distracted what's going on in the world and staying inside and keep the peace inside. So today the topic is the shift into new consciousness.
Mhm.
Um, what's your perspective? What's your perception on that?
Well, the essence around that is that basically the people are um, or living in a 3D consciousness, which means like a normal job, no consciousness, what is really happening on the planet right now, because some people see only the superficial view and or not ready to accept that all of this is a multidimensional play, right? So when we are living on the only on the 3D level, uh, fear arises because yeah, the war, the Epstein files, all of this dark shadow consciousness right now. But in reality it's not like this, because every part has a white and the dark side, right? The shadow and light. So where the shadow is seen, there is the light rising again. So this new consciousness is a deeper awareness of becoming accessible. So that means we are moving from a state where identified mostly with the mind and personality becomes a state where we begin to perceive ourselves as a multidimensional being. So, meaning we are starting to become much more sensitive of what is going on around us in our sleep, in our sensitivity when we are connecting to certain emotions.
100%. Abs Absolutely. And and as you said, so many people are distracted. They're living in the outer world and they get emotional and there's a kind of fear and uncertainty because they don't know. They feel that something is going on, but people who are not very open-minded, people who are very distracted, they also can feel it in a certain kind, but they don't know what's going on. But people who are more consciousness, they realize that we have a shift now into a new consciousness. So you very often speak about multi-dimensional self. So for
Mhm.
someone hearing this for the first time, what what does this actually mean? What is your description about multi-dimensional self?
Yeah, so the multidimensional self can be perceived very simply. It's not, it's not only your thoughts or your visible body, it's also your nervous system, which responds to the emotional memory or the energetic field, which is observing it. But most people live only in one layer of all of this, so the mental layer. So becoming multidimensional means to begin to feel and to recognize layers simultaneously. That means you're becoming much more sensitive to all there is, and not only you're like in working mode, so you're not anymore united with your soul essence, with your emotional layer, with your, but just only with your physical and your mind. But many people now, because the earth shifted, right, in this higher frequency, many people awaken now through the dreams, vivid dreams, through the third eye is just having like the veils are getting thinner. So things are seen which are usually not seen in a human or person, which is not yet totally aligned to the spiritual self.
Absolutely. And you know, as an intermediate step, because for some people who are maybe joining us for the first time, it's a little bit wow, 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 a little bit too much. It's a little bit too much. And what I learned as a kind of intermediate step is interaction with another person that helps us to be more consciousness and have more better consciousness and being more aware. What I learned is a three-dimensional sharing, what I call an honest sharing on three levels. So when some, for example, um, when somebody asks you how are you, most people say I'm fine, and it's done.
Mm.
But the question is, what do you mean by I'm fine? I said, okay, what do I feel in my body? Maybe I have a
Mhm.
pain here or a stress here. What are my
Mm.
thoughts at the moment? And what are my
Mm.
feelings at the moment? I think that what do you think about this? Could be a first step to learn a little bit more to.
Yes. Exactly, to interact with the nervous system, meaning to be aware that we are not only the physical body, but the emotional body, the sensitive body, and because why people are getting so overwhelmed right now, it's because of that the solar flares, the Schumann resonance. So the Schumann resonance is the heartbeat of Earth. The solar flares is the sun flaring, and so like your nervous system gets heating up. Your nervous system gets fluctuated constantly with energy, with a vibrational energy field. So when you start to become multidimensional, that means you start to be aware that many other things are happening. Not only what you see or feel, what you can touch, right?
100%. Yeah, before you mention multidimensional awareness, so within this awareness, where
Mhm.
does healing actually happen?
Yeah. So healing happens through uh, not doesn't happen through force, but and not through fixing. It brings awareness in the body, and it's basically to have no resistance to your emotions. So that creates a total new healing space, and in that space, everything what is stored in trauma can release. So that means it's like a holding space. Sorry, I just throw my tea.
I hope it was not too hard. Um,
No.
yeah, 100% what you mentioned, and I think it's also important that we understand that we have a
Yeah.
different dimension, and also when we talk about healing, is that what you said before is that the healing is happening when we are aware and when you get rid of all this stuff and let it go, let it go, let it heal.
So in that space, yeah, there's the stored tension, emotional patterns, can soften the nervous system, can regulate. And it's not something you do to yourself, but it's something you allow within yourself. So that means that's the healing space.
100%. And
It's
what
just,
you
yeah.
mentioned, you mentioned resistance, and I remember for myself when something was going wrong, or I had a bad emotion, a bad feeling, or whatever, there was always a lot of resistance, and I learned getting rid of this resistance, and healing
Mm,
also can start because my body
mm,
connected with the universe knows what to do, but as long as I build up this resistance, I try to keep this resistance,
mm.
it's not working. Yeah, and giving up resistance uh, is really a release, 100% release.
Surrender.
Yeah, 100%.
So surrender is the right word because surrender means to be just in the natural flow of source. So that means to trust again your original energy, your original blueprint. So what does that mean? That means that most humans forgot who they are, really, truly, as their avatar self. In the when we mean avatar self, we don't have to look now into this highest consciousness of the ascended masters, but the avatar self means your higher self embodied. So every human has that part, every human has a higher self. The higher self knows who you are. The oversoul knows who you are. The oversoul remembers, right?
100%.
So that's what's our gift, that we are becoming that again, because that means to be whole again and not fractured. So
Mhm.
when we have trauma, the soul is fractured in many little pieces. And then, yeah, this fear, nervous system breakdown, disease, everything arises through this consciousness, not embodied, actually.
Mhm, mhm. Amrita, before we keep going on a conversation, I want to come back to a word that you mentioned. It's trust.
Mm, mm,
And I think it's very, very important for people trusting themselves, trusting the universe.
mm,
Most people lost the ability to trust for
mm,
different reasons, for, as you mentioned, trauma, something like that.
mm.
How can people, again, trust, and especially trust themselves, and then later
Ah,
trust others?
so trust is a good challenge for many of us because, of course, many people talk about, my heart is broken, many things happened to me, so it's normal that I live this way. But actually, it's not, because how you think the universe can give us the full flow if we don't even accept the abundance? Because that means to trust, because there's nothing what can happen to us. Actually, source never wants to be bad. So everything, like when you are not trusting, that means you cut off your natural energy flow and uh, exchange it with something inorganic.
Hmm.
That means some negative energy, because the organic energy is always positive. So if you are not using that unconscious mind of old patterns and of this trauma based narrative, all good flow will happen to you because that's just natural.
Okay, got it, got it. Very good point. I have a following question to you before we step
Mm,
forward. Is about when you mention healing. Uh,
mm,
some people understand healing. I'm broken. I have to fix something. What do you understand
mm.
under healing?
No, healing is actually each of us came with a storyline, right? So that means we were born with parents, maybe they don't fit or they fit, but they have different mindset, or we were born into a country, in a culture, with a color, with a white skin, with a dark skin, with like with a storyline. So that means we all have something to deal with. So going in an ancestral line, going into a um, trauma based moment, because I haven't met anybody yet which didn't have a trauma. That's actually where we want to go. No, we want to create a new humanity where it's not necessary to uh, suffer to live, but most people have had suffering. But it's a part of a human life as a spectrum as well, because light and dark, yes, duality.
Mm,
So when you suffer a lot, it can be the most beautiful time after, when you realize that it was actually your learning process,
mm,
and it was the best thing what can happen to you if you transform it into a moment of understanding, because all of these things arrive only for you to understand that you are not that what you think is happening to you.
mm,
You are, every morning you can get up and start new and say, okay, I'm open, I'm free, I'm healthy, I'm not that what happened to me.
mm,
I'm totally free. So that depends on the mindset.
Got it.
So that means healing is important.
100%. On the other hand, I was watching a movie many years ago, and two and a
Mm.
half years ago, I was working on this working book, and what the bleep do you know? Actually, it's called What the fuck do we know? So we called it What the bleep do you know? And there was one quote, and it really hit me, and it said, many people are addicted to negative emotions, so that
Yes.
they come to suffering.
Yeah.
Why is
Because that's
so?
the pattern. That's the pattern. The humans know when they feel bad. So they have already a way out, because it's like, okay, I know already how it feels. So I don't have to be too much afraid of it, because I I felt it already. So that's the addictive mind to these memories and these energies, because in the end, we have cellular memory. So when you had trauma, your cells remember, like, where is pain, there is, on the other hand, joy as well too.
Mm,
It's like very, it's very close. So yeah, people are addicted to negative emotions, because they don't even know what it means to be loved. They don't even know what it means to be seen, what it means to be happy with little things, to have gratitude.
mm, mm. And sometimes we get more attention when we suffer. I remember when I was a small kid, when I was sick, I got more attention from my mom. I get little gifts or better food or stuff like that. So, so,
Mm, mm,
it was a learning. It was a learning, and it really was a challenge for me when I became older in a relationship. The girlfriend didn't
mm,
do what I wanted. I feel sick, and then I got what I need. But anyway, uh, yeah, that's what we learn, and it's
mm,
working. Anyway, so Amrita, there's a lot of talking about a new humanity. What does
mm,
that mean in practical terms for our audience, beyond the
mm.
spiritual language?
New humanity means humans which take responsibility for their being, meaning not only in the material world, but in their consciousness. So that means to be aware of your sensibility, to be aware of nature, of substance. How is it called? I can say it now.
Substances.
No. No, I meant nature. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that means new humanity in my terms, in spiritual terms means to everybody has their own responsibility to clean up inside. I'm not speaking about outside. Cleaning up inside means to be in charge of their own emotions, to don't take action immediately when something from the outside happens, but to be more meditative, to be more neutral, to be more conscious, and to unite with other humans which are conscious, so we can build up more awareness, and we can build up a higher frequency, which means to guide the new ones, the new generation, the children which are coming now into a total different awareness of energy giving, of, they come with a memory. They don't come with the trauma now. The crystal, the diamond crystal childs, they don't come with a trauma memory. So they remember who they were up there. They remember before. So we have to give this a space where there's no suffering, because suffering doesn't exist. I'm not saying everything is light, but if everybody takes their responsibility without playing the victim, without playing the old emotional patterns where they judge, or judgment is one of the worst place, because when you are in judgment, you don't forgive yourself, you don't forgive the others, and so it's an eternal play, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the consciousness doesn't grow, not in you and not around you, because it's a negative emotion.
Mm-hmm.
So all of this is very important, that we heal these negative emotions, because in the end, if we think there's only the now and we have only 24 hours to do something right, everybody would live in a different space,
Mm-hmm.
because you want to do everything the best, the fastest, and you want to live the most conscious, the most loving way.
Mm-hmm.
It's very easy, actually, the exercise.
Yeah. So when you talk about humanity, that is more consciousness, this brings us to, I think, a tough topic for many people, because a lot of people feel like victims, or when they want to start
Yes.
healing, they become dependent on a healer or a guru or whatever. So that brings us to responsibility. What is a very tough topic in any meaning, in any challenges. So many people want healing. They also feel overwhelmed, of course. When you suffer, of course, you feel overwhelmed in the beginning. But
Mm.
I think that responsibility and personal responsibility, self-responsibility is very, very important. Uh, where does this come in the process of healing, self-responsibility?
I want to say something about the healing. Healing is, there's so many different modalities of healing, right? So especially when we use our healing method, we go through the full spectrum. Okay, that's a very important thing, because for me, I don't want people get addicted to the energy or to the work. I'm giving them tools. Again, I'm saying that, to be self-aware and how to get out of the victim road, and be active, because the old style of heal, they just do it and then they have to come back. But we, new humanity, golden humanity, we want to create new masters, not people which are addicted. That's exactly where we want to change the paradigm, right? Because otherwise it's a slavery again, and it's just on a little bit of higher level. But we need to teach now how to be more conscious, and how to hold your energy level on a higher spectrum. So that means your emotional and your physical body react immediately.
Hmm.
So responsibility for me, it doesn't, uh, it's not self-blame.
Hmm.
Yeah, it means recognizing your inner state.
Good.
So
Okay.
you meet yourself.
Hmm. Hmm.
So because nobody can feel the emotions for you.
Hmm.
And nobody else can regulate the nervous system. Yes, we can do it in healing. We put you in balance, yeah. But then you have to know how to keep it.
Yeah.
So that means to take responsibility of your own self.
Hmm.
Because one of the worst really is victimhood and judgment. Because with judgment, there's the blame and then there's the hate.
Hmm.
But what are we judging? We can't judge anything because everything is comes in two. It's a natural play of the universe.
Hmm.
So when you start to accept this, then everything falls off because you know it's just the eternal play.
Yeah, I mean, when we talk about healing and self-responsibility, I mean, what came to my mind is when we talk about responsibility of a healer, is that there's this quote, I
Mm.
guess it's from the Bible, where it says, okay, when somebody's hungry, you can give them fish or you can teach them fishing.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good one. Mhm.
Yeah. And I think that's about the new consciousness, being aware that everything is in
Beautiful.
you. Yeah.
Yes,
And I think
yes,
the healer is a kind of catalysator who helps you to start the process, but then
yes.
you have to keep going.
Yes, it's people which come to us, they're ready, their soul is ready to go deeper.
Mm.
Because when we open a space and go, like it's like a onion, many layers, until you reach where the real point is. And there's so much in the human consciousness which is so buried, from childhood to adulthood. And when you become clean again, I call it like this clean, you're like a baby, you're like a child, you're mm, newborn.
Mm.
So that means all of the blame, the guilt, the shame, everything what you all of the pathways, when we clean all of these memories, you're again a child with a super open, clean heart and no judgment, and everything can start again from zero.
100%. And this gives hope for everyone. Nobody's lost.
Yes.
So it's a
Nobody is
new day,
lost. Yes,
a
it
new
just
sun.
depends on you
Yeah.
if you want to. Don't be, because it's easy to be a victim
Mm.
because you can blame the others. It's not
100%.
you, it's always the others.
Yeah. 100%.
But the others are just a mirror of you.
Yeah. Um,
So when you start to understand that, you start to be less in ego, because a victim is an ego as well.
100%.
Even if it's many people will not like that, but that's it, because it's very easy to escape.
Yeah.
I see many people to escape their responsibility. And if you want to be a master of your own self, of your life, you cannot escape from yourself.
Mm.
Because if you lie to yourself, that's the only lie you're not supposed to do. Because how can you live with a lie to yourself?
Mm. 100%. Yeah, but there are so many victims out there who feel like victims. I call them the divas. And the point is, they get
Let's start
attention,
on the
and
way
it's
with the
working.
divas in the masculine and feminine, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Amrita, to our audience, when somebody
Mhm.
feels the shift but has no idea how to start or where to
Mhm.
start, what's what's
Mhm.
what's what's the first step? What is working?
Yeah, so the first step is silence. that means meditation, just to sit in silence. Because when you sit in silence, your thoughts become more quiet. So you start to understand everything what is moving around you or what is moving inside of you. There's a big difference because what is moving outside of you is just the material world. But the inside, when you close your eyes and you connect, just in peace, you can use music. It doesn't matter. Something what brings you in a shift, maybe in a hypnotic state. It can be mantras, it can be binaural sound, frequency sound, but just to be in silence for at least half an hour a day. That brings you a lot of new space.
I want to dive a little bit deeper in that, staying in
Mm.
silence, or just a practical way, because
Mm.
I know that, and I know it from myself. In the past, and still happening to me is, and I guess many of our audience too, is when you go in silence, shit is coming up, and
Yeah.
then we want to run away, and then we're looking for distraction. I don't know, changing the, I don't know, changing. For example, even with a healer, changing the conversation, bringing on a different topic,
Mm.
doing something, or just doing something. I mean, what can people help when they find out they're escaping coming back to this process?
So if you really can sit in silence, then do the meditation, a movement meditation. So you use the music and you move with it. You dance, you work with your body first, because that means you're not able to silence you didn't understand yet how to balance, your chakra system and to silence your mind. So you still need movement, you still need to feel your body, because that's another topic. Many people don't even feel their body anymore.
Mm.
So if you start to feel your body with movement and in a hypnotic, frequency music, then already something happens to you because you start to feel your body and you balance.
100%. Yeah, I learned this from Osho, in the dynamic
Yeah,
meditation.
yeah.
You jump around.
Dynamic meditation.
I love it. Absolutely love it.
This one is very strong though. It's not for everyone because it moves a lot of emotional field,
Mm,
and even other people breathe in your field. So that means for empaths or high sensitive people like me, this can be a lot very violent
mm,
emotionally, because who is hypersensitive is not able to know what comes from them or from the outside. So that means uh, we are the ones which clean up all of the shit from everybody, which releases everything. So it can be counterproductive in the beginning
okay, okay.
to work with others in that.
Yeah,
If you do it yourself, it's not a problem. But if you have a group and they release a lot of darkness, and you don't know how to protect yourself, you will cry a lot.
100%.
Like it happened to me in the beginning.
Yeah.
And after I understood why, I was like, oh my God, I'm the most sensitive here.
Mm,
So, of course, where does it go? Like the energy has to be released somewhere,
mm.
So, where does it go? To the most sensitive, to the most talented, usually, because it's the one which can understand the most frequency. But then you have to know how to deal with it and how to transform it and how to clean it up.
Yeah, 100%. I'm involved in men's work. I work a lot with men, and for men,
Mm.
they get much better access to their emotions, for example, by motion.
Shouting.
100%. Not in
Yeah,
sitting and
true.
talking or sitting meditating. They need first
Yeah.
moving and feeling the body and getting
Mm.
rid of this aggression and this energy first in the body to calm down.
Mm. Mm.
100%.
Mm. Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
My final question to you is, what is the essence of this whole
Mm.
transition that we are going through at the moment?
Mhm. Yeah, so it's simple. It's the learning to live from within. So that means to be more silenced in the outside world and to look inside and to stabilize your own self, the real self, the real understanding who you are. So that's the essence, to be in love with yourself, not in the ego self, but in the good, beautiful human that you can be when you're clear and clean, when you don't judge, when you don't blame, when you don't play the victim, when you take responsibility of your higher self, when you take responsibility of the beauty you can bring on this earth, because everybody can do that.
Mm,
Doesn't matter how high level you are. You know, being a good human means to have an open heart
yes,
and to have a good consciousness and caring.
100%. And I can speak, as a man, that especially men, we always think that we have to react on something
Mhm,
instead of just being aware of what they call holding the space, for example, for
mhm,
ourselves or
mhm,
for others. Yeah.
mhm,
We think we have to deliver, we have to perform, and
mhm.
that's really difficult in our culture because we are so used to perform and deliver instead of just just being,
Mm.
just
Just
being.
being. Exactly. And that's what we have to learn again.
Yeah,
Just let everybody be themselves and express themselves in their own way. So nothing is needed, nothing is wanted, nothing is expected, expectation. That's one of the strong ones as well. You know, partners expect things from the others, but this is all wrong, because why actually, a unity should exist in two pillars, and not one is expecting something from the other and then it's not harmonious anymore, because love is simple. It flows over when everything is clear and clean. But when there's something needed, the other half, the other side will break down, because there's an imbalance in the emotional field.
100%. And we experience this in our relationships to our kids and our parents and our beloved ones. 100%. 100%. That's a good end. Amrita, uh,
Mhm.
who do you want to contact you, and how can people get in contact with you?
Yes, so everybody can contact me. Depends. Nothing. I've seen already everything from entity removal to cancer, to emotional bipolarity, schizophrenia, you name it. It doesn't matter, because for me, it's not disease. For me, it's just imbalance. So I can work on all levels uh, needed. So you can contact me via Instagram or via Facebook and or via WhatsApp. And yeah, now I'm in Hamburg. So Germany will open up, and then 10 days in Austria every month. So then I hold all private sessions, and yeah, it's important that people book in early, because I'm always full.
Wonderful. So in
Yeah.
the description, we will have
Thank
your
you.
contact details and
Mhm.
everything there. So it was an amazing conversation. Thanks a lot. Thanks for the work you're doing. And I visit you several times when you've been in Austria, and I always enjoy your presence.
Mhm.
It helped
Yeah, we
me.
see you soon.
Sorry.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely,
We
100%.
see you soon, hopefully.
Agree
Mm.
now, yeah. I hope we see you again soon. And all the best, and for
Yeah.
you and your
You
students.
too. All the best.
Thank you. Bye.
Go to swim for me.
Ja, danke.
Bye.
Bye, bye.
Bye bye.
Ja, das war die liebe Amrita Sophia Nath. Und ja, wenn du mit ihr in Kontakt treten möchtest, in der Beschreibung unten hast du ihre Kontakt. details. In English, I know, I'm sorry for that. In English, this was Amrita, Sophia, Nath. If you want to contact her, in the description, you have her contact details. So feel free, don't hesitate to contact her. I can absolutely recommend it. It can be a game changer for you. And yeah, all the best. Thanks for sharing the channel. Thanks for subscribing to the channel. Thumbs up. Get in contact with me. This is Roland from Roland Media on Entrepreneur. Thanks and bye bye.